Hello, this is David with 3 Orcs, and welcome to the channel. In this video, we're going to focus on one of the Elf clans of the Gnarley Forest. Anybody running the Temple of Elemental Evil campaign would want to know what the Elves are up to in the Gnarley Forest, since it's so close to the village of Nulb. It's also right in the middle of all the activities of the Temple of Elemental Evil leaders and their agents, because the second rising of the Temple of Elemental Evil is heavily recruiting and bringing in a lot of supplies for their future plans. Now, the first rising, I'm going to have to repeat myself from all my videos, is the fact that they were defeated at the Battle of Emerald Meadows by the forces of good. All the nations in the world, all the forces of good came together and put them down. And they made a big mistake by doing that, by gathering a host of an army to march upon the city of Verbobonc, and they were put down by the righteous host. And so now Elves, with his plans of the up-and-coming Greyhawk Wars, possibly, he wants to all eyes divert their attention to the south, to the Temple of Elemental Evil. But this time he wants to do it smart. So this module that this video is focused on, this campaign project, which is the Verbobonc Campaign Guide 576 Common Year, you can find it at the link below and at World Anvil. It's fan content and free to use by any Dungeon Master at the table. So you can instantly access all this information while you're running the game. And I made sure I wrote all the articles like that, pretty much like Old School Essentials, where it's bullet pointed and to the point, so it's highly referenceable at the table. So Elves decided to send one of his own, the Mouth of Elves, the Supreme Commander Hedrick of the Temple of Elemental Evil, down to Nulb, to the ruins of the temple, and rebuild it and start the second rising of the Temple of Elemental Evil. But this time he's going to do it smart. He's going to go ahead and keep Nulb a hive of scum and villainy, leveraging the bandits and pirates and brigands there to do his dirty work, where they can do heavy recruiting, raid all the merchant roads in the Viscounty of Verbobonc and the Gnarley Forest, and also disrupt politics in the region. This campaign is more like Game of Thrones meets the Temple of Elemental Evil, because not only is his agents out there, but they're interacting and collaborating with other organizations out there, including lords in the city of Verbobonc and the city of Dyvers, and the Wild Coast slavers, the slaver lords. So basically the long-term game here is to integrate the Slave Lord series, all the activities on the Wild Coast, with this campaign. So that way, a lot of Dungeon Masters can start their campaign off in different areas of the Flanaess. I start my campaign at the city of Verbobonc running Noble Ambitions, the Living Greyhawk module, which has been rewritten for this campaign in the year 579 Common Year. Now, all the locations and NPCs and organizations from Living Greyhawk are the same no matter what year you're in, except for a few locations that don't exist yet. By default, the World of Greyhawk box set is 576 Common Year per Gary Gygax, but the T1 through 4 Temple of Elemental Evil module is stated in the module that it's run at 579 Common Year, and Gygax expressed in the DM notes and in interviews since then that he expects the Dungeon Master to expand this campaign to make it into an epic campaign, more like an epic sandbox campaign where you bring the world to life all around Nulb and Hommlet, and which is what this project has done. I created over 13 villages fully keyed, just like the village of Hommlet is. So that way, no matter where the players go, you can interact with them and still get entwined with the activities of the Temple of Elemental Evil, because it's like peeling layers of the onion, trying to find out who's behind all this rise of banditry and the piracy, and following up on who got kidnapped and taken and prisoners and where all that loot went. So it's going to be a lot of fun in this campaign, and I don't really expect the players to get to a Nulb until they're at least 5th level, and we want to keep them busy investigating what's going on and discovering and engaging all these temple agent activities out in the world. So that's why the Elven clans are so important in the Gnarley Forest, because you have slaver lords delivering caravans of prisoners to the Temple of Elemental Evil and recruits up and down the Wild Road. And I'll go ahead and show you that map now so you can follow along with me. So this is the main website. This is the project called Verbobonc Campaign Guide 576 Common Year on the screen. And this is the front page. Embedded in the front page is the interactive map for the Viscounty of Verbobonc. You can click on any of those villages and they're fully keyed with separate articles for every village, every NPC, all the leaders and organizations, the dialogue and flavor text and stat blocks. It's all there for the Dungeon Master to use. Now, if you go down to the left, that's a table of contents. And on the right is all the maps. So I have quite a few maps done already. It's like Etterbuck and Hommlet and Nib's Rest and Nulb, Ostwerk, Penwick, Sherendyl. City of Verbobonc is done too. And the Viscounty is 1 hex is 3 miles. And the Eastern Viscounty is 1 hex is 1 mile. So what I want to show you is the actual Viscounty map. So we'll go ahead and click on that. And as you can see, if you go to this map is just of the Viscounty area, that orange line. The orange line is surrounding the land of the Viscounty. And on the other side of this orange line is the free lands of Dyvers. The other side of this line is Veluna. So I didn't go into the Wild Coast because that's not what this map is for. And I realized I'll probably have to make a map later on going into the Wild Coast. Now, Anna Meyer's maps are available to use, of course, but they don't really zoom in enough to run this campaign with. Hers are more focused back, and when you zoom back in, it gets really blurry, and there's a lot of activity and things going on in this campaign that you have to really zoom in on. And this map is 1 hex is a league, 3 miles. So the clans that are done already, written by Halagant, a great contributor to the 3 Orcs Patreon and Discord. He wrote Vecna and other stories for Living Greyhawk in the past, so he's really an expert on this subject. But he wrote the original articles for Clan Sherendyl, which is on the Selene border of the Elven kingdom to the south, with Queen Yolanda, that closed the borders, so nobody's allowed in and out. They want nothing to do with any of the countries in the area, so they're not going to receive any help from Selene officially. And the Viscount is trying to do something about that, and that's where the Gift of Beauty adventure module comes into play. Pivot, which is really pivotable to this campaign. But that module has yet to be rewritten by me to fit this campaign. Noble Ambitions is done, so you're going to find that on the website too. So when you see this road going east and west, that connects to the Wild Coast, and there's a lot of traffic along that merchant road that goes through clan lands. Obviously, the elves are going to have something to say about the merchant traffic. They usually ignore that traditionally in the past. They leave anybody on that road alone. But the slavers are using it to bring in supplies and recruitment and slaves. And also, there's a lot of bandit activity along that road, preying on traditional merchants that are trying to do trade with Hommlet in the Viscounty. And so that's a hotbed of activity. So I start my campaign in the city of Verbobonc, others start theirs in Dyvers, others start theirs in the Wild Coast with the slavers, and then get into the Temple of Elemental Evil. There's a lot of different ways to start this campaign versus the standard original module way, which is right outside of Hommlet. You know, you don't get to Larth until you're lucky to be 2nd level, and every party that's ever been there has been defeated that I've ever heard of in all my groups. So you really want them to be at least 3rd level before they get there. And after Noble Ambitions, they reach 2nd level, then they hit to Hommlet. So that's how that works for me. But other Dungeon Masters run their campaign differently. So Clan Sherendyl is done as well. If you click on them, you'll go to their full articles, and there's separate articles for every NPC and location within that clan area and whatever city or town's there, with a lot of artwork. So those 2 have been done for a while. I made videos about them. But if we go north, past Twilight Falls, this road, the high road, the forest road, Living Greyhawk named it both. So that leads to Dyvers. And at the intersection, it goes through Namburul, which is, I believe, a gnome village or a halfling village. And that leads to the Wild Coast. So it's another avenue to get to the Wild Coast. That goes through Clan Sherendyl lands. I did a whole video on that already. So that's done right there. So if your players are going through there and they're discovering these bandit raids on caravans or slavers coming through, the clan will most likely be reacting to that, and they'll witness that or help out or get engaged with that clan. Another reason for these clans is one of your player characters or the whole group could be from that clan. You know, the backstory for your elf NPC, maybe he'd like to be from that clan because he thought that clan was cool. No, that's very useful in a campaign. That's not just a backstory. So during this long epic campaign, it's a place where you can go back for training, for information, for help, for spells and things like that. So it's a very valuable resource for a player, and it makes him feel like he has more agency, that he can go return back to home to get a lot of help. You'll feel very unique in the group, that he has access and engagement to an organization that could help the players out. Like, he's the elf and he's friends with the gnarly elves, and they're going to help them with some things. So if you go farther north is Clan Sherendyl. So Clan Sherendyl is right off the map, and right at the edge of the free lands of Dyvers. It's just to the east of Sobbenwich. That town isn't done yet. I intend in this project to keep expanding, keep developing these villages, creating them with all the NPCs and the shops and the leaders there and the guards and plot hooks, all that. So I'm going out, and anybody that joins the Three Orcs Discord, if anybody wants to join the Three Orcs Discord channel, you're more than welcome. All the dungeon masters running this campaign on that channel, they're constantly discussing this daily about their campaign and their individual campaigns, the way they're running it. They often have requests for me to develop something or to steer them in the right direction or give them some advice on what's available in this campaign world. There's over 1,500 articles here on this website, and I just can imagine that you're not going to be able to realize what's available by just poking around. That's why I have these interactive maps, to have these interactive maps as your main table of contents. So that way you can put your cursor over a particular location. It'll take you to everything you need to know about that location. And also, there's links in these articles to different organizations, like the Knights of the Gnarley, the Ranger Knights of the Gnarley, or the Druids of the Gnarley, or the Sleen Elves, or the Knights of the Heart. So these links are available at these locations where it's needed, like the Battle of Emerald Meadows, that the NPC fought there. It'll be embedded in his articles, so that way it can prompt you, remind you at the table while you're role-playing this NPC, what happened there. Okay, so today we're focusing on Clan Sherendyl. But another way to get there is go to the Elves of the Gnarley, which is an organizational article about all the elves in the Gnarly Forest. And if you go through this article, it describes the full organization of them. And then right here is a list of all the clans on the right here, the 4 clans at a glance. So you can click, like I said before, there's hyperlinks everywhere in every article to take you around it anywhere you need to go. I try to make sure I cover it all. I mean, even the link to the Seldarin is here, the Elven Pantheon and all the gods. Everything you want to know about this campaign is on this website. So anything that's missing, you guys are more than welcome to discuss it on the Discord channel and tell me what needs to be done. And I can get on that, add it to the list of things that need to be done. So this is Clan Sherendyl. I created the Herald, the clan standard for that clan there. And it starts off with a main article for the clan itself. This is the organizational article. And part of this article are links to all the NPCs and locations. This clan is regarded as a hidden fortress in the northern Gnarly. It's the second largest of the Gnarly's elven houses, Clan Sherendyl. Remember, it's right on the border of Dyvers. So it keeps its strength quiet and its blades keen. It's centered on the lakeside capital of Düalarn, the hidden fortress. These wood elves train like soldiers, store like siege masters, and remember, they're historians. Their vigilant faces north and west towards Dyvers and the Nire Dive, and east towards Greyhawk, and south towards Verbobonc. They respect the Gnarly Rangers and the Old Faith Druids, but they distrust human ambition, and they revere, of course, the Seldarin, the Elven Pantheon. So, the capital setting. It's a peaceful lake village, and I haven't created a map for this lake village yet. So, when I create an article, I have to determine how much effort to put into it, depending on its use in the campaign, how far away it is from the main activity of the campaign. I'm sure a DM or two will probably have their players up here sometime or another, but until they hear about that, I'm not going to spend a month creating a map for this place. But a lot of my locations, a lot of my villages have maps. I've created them, but it usually takes me a month or two to create a map. It stands around this deep lake, Gnarley. It's 20 miles north of Selatin, 31 west of 31 miles west of Beltander. Granite hillocks ring the water, villas perch on outcrops, and many residents prefer stout rock cellars to tree homes. Subterranean galleries honeycomb the hills, granaries, armories, sanctuaries, joined by tunnels and strengthened with elven magic encircling the lake. The clan knows it could shelter the whole tribe during war. The territory and roads Basically, the heartlands are about 3,200 square miles between the Verbobonc River to the north and the thinning forest near the Dive in the north and the deep woods of Beltander. So a running road from Clan Meldrin is here through Shelton and Beltander and Tricaster. So this territory and road section describes more of the paths and trails coming and going through the clan lands. So it's very specific to give that information to you as a DM to really understand what the clan lands actually. It's very specific to let the Dungeon Master know which area is the clan lands. The war era scarring means that the west groves are oaks, elders, hornwoods, and ips and ashes and willows and yarvicks are abundance, but truly massive declas and rowans and ips remain rare, though they thrive in the east. Okay, the people and culture, there's 1,800 here. The second among the Elves of the Gnarly Forest clans. The 5 tribes composed of this clan. House Sherendyl is the largest, but folk live in the northern heartland, but Sherendyl families are scattered throughout the wider forest area. So the allies, they have a strong esteem for the Gnarly Forest. They have a strong esteem for the Gnarly Rangers and the Old Faith Druids, and they accept the human woodsmen who respect the green. Suspicion is reserved for city-states that hunger for timber or their territory. Now, to remind you, not only does the Gnarly Forest have the Gnarly Rangers, and their duty is to safeguard the forest, but there's also human towns within the forest outside the clan lands, and they call them woodsmen of the Gnarly. So that's how they're classified, and they do have their own article, which I did not link here, and it reminds me that sometimes I miss links and I have to add it. Okay, so there's a history here. Their bloodlines trace to the fairy elven principality of Düalarn, that's to the south. It's on the western Gnarly verge and lands now with Verbobonc. Their position near the Dive and Belverdiva, then the path of the Urflane, and later the Orid and Selous migrations. They fought at the forefront of the Grey Elf armies, suffering but not breaking. Their chronicles record grievances that inform present caution towards Dyvers and Greyhawk. So they basically, centuries of rage and wars with the occluded empire of the Whispered One, that's Vecna, birthed their doctrine of hiding strength in the east and stone, the hidden fortress. Okay, so now we have a whole section on government and titles. Basically, I go through a whole thing about what they call their clan ladies and clan lords, how their feudal election works, their heir apparent and justification for that. So I outline it for you in case it's needed in the campaign. It's traditions, and there's also a feudal vassal, the Prince of Düalarn, tasked to rally all the Gnarly tribes in defense of the Southern Grey and Sylvan Heartlands. The title's practically an authority faded after the wars against the occluded empire of the Whispered One. Over a millennia ago, today it's chiefly honorific. So the Whispered One, Vecna, does have its own link, its own article too. So I probably should add that here. I might have done that below. So there's the current ruler, 579 common year, and that's that person. They have their own article as well. You'll see that farther down. The faith and temples, basically it's all the Sherendyl, the Elven Pantheon. The external relationships of Selene, Viscounty, Dyvers, and the Gnarly Rangers and Greyhawk is outlined here. The politics of the 4 clans, how they relate to the other clans, their laws, and I always add plot points, plot hooks to every article I write. This will give the Dungeon Master some ideas to springboard some kind of adventure in the area in case he needs it. On the top right-hand corner, I always throw in quotes to some dialogue in every article. Hologon Edwards, Damien Edwards, is the original author of this, and I took his paragraphs and I expanded it greatly, creating these pages. There's a lot of 3 Orcs Discord and Patreon members that contribute to this project as well. And if you want to add anything to this campaign to help move it out faster, to really continue its growth, you're welcome to join and collaborate with us and write some of this stuff. There's a lot of these villages still need to be done, and areas and stuff like that. So here's the specifics: their house size, their capital, what do you call it? Demographics, the reputation as the finest soldiers of the Gnarly. They're candid, proud, and prepared. So if you read the original Gnarly Forest articles with the elves, each clan specializes in a certain thing. Like one clan are sages and clerics, another one is wizards, another one's with the bow, and this one is warriors. That's what they're known for. It doesn't mean that's all that they do. It just means that's what they specialize in, what they're best at. So a lot of times I see a player will choose that for that reason. Like, I want to be an elf fighter or something like a fighter. And they go, I want to be from Clan Sherendyl because they're known for the greatest fighters. You don't necessarily have to be from there to be a fighter class. You can be from any of these clans because they all do have fighters or fighter types and rangers and wizards and clerics and stuff like that. Okay, so the faith and links to the gods, like the creator of the elves, the protector, the first of Seldarin, their population and demographics. Key figures. So here's where I linked the actual NPCs, the key figures in this clan. And below that is a whole bunch of links to important articles that you might want to refer to while you're looking at this stuff. The first thing I want to look at is the article Seldarin. I'm not going to open it up, but I'll do a little pop-up here. As you can see, it goes into a lot of detail about that faith, about that church, about how they worship and how they interact with the different gods and things like that. So I can come in handy when you're role-playing some kind of clerics or even the druids. But first thing I want to look at then is I want to look at the capital. So let's go ahead and take a look at the capital. And the capital is the hidden fortress. And when I spoke about a lot of this already, it kind of rehashed it here at the very beginning. And also the location, the geography, the locations of the distances between different villages in the area. Then I added more information about the history. So the history is, the reason it's called Düalarn is it means in Elven, the lake that remembers. It began as a lakeside hunting camp and refugee where the old ferryways surfaced near the water's edge. Raids and later wars taught hard lessons, like the hateful wars. The clan expanded the hidden fortress network around the lake, storing food, arms, and seed, standardizing evacuation and muster plans. The demographics, 655, 83% of them are wood elves, just like all the other clans. And just a lot of detail about the faith and culture and temples and the economy and defenses and relations and politics between all the different areas again. Laws for anybody visiting. So the Dungeon Master might find that very valuable when players come here. There's certain laws that they must be honored or they'll react negatively to those players. I added some more adventure hooks too, to give you some ideas of how to introduce some concepts into the campaign to steer the players into certain directions or make it more interesting for them. Also, I wrote a little Dungeon Master article about how to use this at the table. Some advice here. In the top right-hand corner is a picture of the hidden fortress and also the detailed facts on the right without any verbose narration. So you can, at a glance, you can see what this place is all about. I try to keep this as referenceable as possible. Their motto is stone below, steel above, and oath within. Now, I usually put the motto, it's right here. I usually put the motto at the top. Districts and notable places. So these are locations within the area. In this particular article, since it's kind of farther away from this campaign setting, I did not create these locations like I did with the other elf clans, because those are more immediate within the boundary of this campaign setting. I could, if it was needed to, but at least we have a paragraph of each location and what that place is. Like the lake steps and the temple for Coralone and the galleries and the vaults, the wharf, the fisher's nook, the listening hill, the gnome quarter, understep. If it's more is needed later on in this campaign, I can develop it further. But that's as far as I got with that. Now let's go back to the clan again, and we're going to go ahead and look at the first NPC here. So he's a high-level character, actually. This is Clan Lady Lastora. She has ruled Clan Sherendyl since 514 Common Year. She was elected Lastorella in the Uneasy Quiet after the Hateful Wars. I bolded it, but I didn't put the link in. So, not everybody knows what the Hateful Wars is. It's nice to be able to reference that in case it comes up in conversation with your players. So you can comment on it. She's pro-Selene. About Selene. So Selene closed their borders, but they're still open somewhat. Selene thinks that the four clans is kind of part of their lands. is still beholden to them, even though these clans feel independent. So this closed borders still affect them somewhat, but they still communicate with them. And I believe certain notable figures can still travel back and forth. But the borders are specifically closed to all the human countries in the area, from Ulick to Verbobonc, Viscounty, Sherendyl, Valuna, Greyhawk, the Wild Coast. It's very important for Uis to keep that border closed. And so he has a lot of agents out there, a lot of activities going on with the Temple of Elemental Evil leadership and their agents. They're trying to cause a lot of political disruption in the area to make sure that the politics of the lords and all the different countries are in confusion and contention and not helping each other. Because the more confusion he can instill in these areas, the more his activities to the north will be unnoticed, and the reaction will be slow to anything he does up there. It would be a big blow to the Temple of Elemental Evil if somebody were to recover that gift of beauty and send it to Queen Yolanda, and then maybe he'll determine whether or not they'll open those borders and start cooperating with the faiths. The forces are good. The human forces are good in her area. And that'd be a big blow to his plans. He does not want that. Well, anyways, he's pro-Selene. And she's intent on renewing her former fealty to Ansted, the capital of Selene. So that right there, it would interfere with, or the Temple of Elemental Evil could interfere with. Make sure that does not happen, because that would not be a good thing for Uis or the temple. She's deeply suspicious of Dyvers and ship timber appetites along the northern Gnarley. Basically, Dyvers is a city port, and they use a lot of wood to build ships. So yeah, they have a lot of problems with them harvesting wood out of the Gnarley. And actually, the Gnarley Ranger's job, the one that's responsible for that area, they're trying to keep the peace and make sure, making sure they're diplomatically handling the issue between the gnomes and the humans. And that's their job. And if you go to the Gnarley Ranger article, or if you go to the Gnarley Forest articles, there's actually a map of the different sections of the Gnarley Forest where the Rangers are responsible for, with another NPC article for that Night Ranger responsible for that area. In this article, I decided to write some more dialogue for her to bring her to life, and that's what she looks like. And this is her history. She used to be a companion guard of Selene in the fairy kingdom of Selene. She served in Queen Yolanda's elite guard in her youth. So she has strong connections. And there's the Hateful Wars. I finally remembered to add a link to the Hateful Wars. See how you can put your cursor over it, and if you guys are role-playing, at least you can glance at this and, breakthrough. Okay. So during her election in 514 Common Year, she succeeded her cousin and became the ruler here. They got mandates and policies in 579 Common Year, their alliances, personality, notable quotes. This is things that she could say, things she's known to say that you can use in your role playing. This is her relationships with everybody in the area, what she thinks of them, and some more adventure hooks for you to use as a dungeon master to bring this to life. And also DM notes how to use her at the table. On the top right hand corner is what she looks like, and a 5e stat block. You can convert that to any rule system that you have. If you scroll down, it's just more links to other articles that are important. So I usually put all the non-player characters in like this article, this category right here, to keep them all in one spot in the table of contents. The next NPC is the Summer Mist Chief. Go ahead and take a look at him. He's chief of the Summer Mist. Basically, he leads the Summer Mist, one of the Sherendyl's 4 smaller tribes. It's a battlefield arcanist of rare discipline. He marries evocation with abjuration to erase threats while leaving the forest unharmed. A reputation that wins him both awe and caution. An arcane advisor to the leader there. He backs hard readiness, but clashes politically with her admiration for Selene. So he does not agree with her determination to support Selene. He argues that the future of the Wood Elves runs through Verbobonc, not great elf chancellors. He keeps an open corridor to Gilithadar Telva of Clan Meldorin. I should have linked his name there too, but at least the Clan Meldorin is linked. His appearance, what he looks like, his history, his ideals and political relationships, magics and methods, just how to use him in the story, and his relationships. Top right hand corner, you got his stat block in 5e again. He's pretty high level there, and more stat on the right, more stats and links that you could use in your campaign. So he's very useful. The next NPC is the Fate Hunter Chief. So the Fate Hunter he's chief of the chief hunter of the chief of the Fate Hunters. He commands the Fate Hunter tribe, whose scattered steeds lie between Sobbenwitz and Terra Verta along the contested forest road. The forest road is heavily traveled by merchants and brigands from Dyvers to Twilight Falls, and then finally down to Nulb. So she's got her hands full. She would be most likely encountered along that road if that were to happen. She's a relentless scout and captain, and she distrusts Dyvers' ship timber ambitions and argues that Sherendyl must reassert historical claims along the road corridor ceded to many human woodsfolk generations ago. She was once a protege of lon'törli Aerith. Their disagreements is private but unmistakable in council. So it's possible for the players to overhear their bickering in council if they were ever to go to one. Quotes from her philosophy, relations, tactics, her gear, her personality, and more adventure hooks to bring her to life to engage your players. Now, these adventure hooks could just affect one player at the table. Let's say you have an elf from this clan. You can actually use any of these adventure hooks to hook that player as part of his backstory. That way, he's got other things going on in the campaign besides what all the players were doing at the table, that he has other interests that's concerning him. So that'd be very useful. So she could be used as a Patreon, which is really cool. On the right-hand side is the stat block in 5e again, and of course, the links to all the relevant articles below. So let's go down to the last person I created here. This is the High Priest. The High Priest of Caerleon, Hall of Seven Vows. So, Selene presides over the largest temple of Caerleon, Lorathane, in the Sherendyl Heartlands, in the lakeside capital of Düalarn, the hidden fortress. It's his airy silver and gold chased oak halls shelter both worship and war readiness. Beneath the nave lies a fortified granary and armory. So he's pretty much in charge of the military, it looks like. He reads, so Sauron has troubling omens. Clerics and druids can do that. He has spells for that. Auguries and things like that, where they can try to tell what's going on in the world. So he's having these omens, and he sees that the Uid's resurgence is happening, the banditry near the forest road, and he quietly urging lon'törli Aerith and the fellow clergy to prepare for the worst. This would be another great plot hook for a kind of a player character that would be related to like maybe a cleric or something. What he looks like, his duties, his beliefs, his relationships, the temple and underhalls, full description. I did not create separate articles for each of these rooms in the temple, but I could have if I wanted to, but at least got the descriptions here. Personality, noble blessings and their relics that they have. Adventure hooks, so you could actually use this to engage the player, and how to use them at the table, like as a Patreon. On the upper hand corner is the stat block in 5e. And he's a 12th level cleric. See what I mean? How powerful these elves are. Very powerful because they're old. This one's 285 years old. So that's something to be aware of, and it's very interesting. So let's go back to the main article, Clan Sherendyl. It looks like for this clan, this is as far as I've gotten. I created an article for the capital city, a main article, not for the locations in the city. And I created only 4 articles for the 4 of the main NPCs. So this is enough for you to reference this location and this clan in your campaign, but it's not done up as much as the other 3 clans to a lot more detail of the different locations in the city. I suspect that those clans will find more use in the campaign when the players will actually go there and engage with those clans and those locations more often than probably this clan. But in your campaign you might, because your player might decide he'd like to come from here, and you're finding yourself in the situation where you have to role play it and provide the information. But I believe there's enough information here between these 6 articles for you to bring this clan to life and to help you with that. It's better than what you had before. So Hologon wrote this up based on with a little bit of reference from Living Greyhawk, because there wasn't much there, like a paragraph. And he wrote 10 paragraphs. And then I wrote all this up. So it's been expanded heavily, greatly, to really bring it to life as Gary Gygax intended for the world of Greyhawk. Now, about that, I don't do conscious changes of anything in the world of Greyhawk. I try to stick lore from the world of Greyhawk box set and any lore products that come out since then. And then I take the Living Greyhawk modules and the compendiums and their guides, their journals, and I'll integrate that with this campaign, the locations and the organizations and things, to really bring this to life. I only change things when I have no other choice. I don't just make up things on the fly just because I thought it was cool. Everything else is inspiration and is a guide to create more. That's my goal, because I want you guys to use this as your foundation to your campaign. You know, I lay down the foundation, put all the bricks in place, and then you use it to how you want to use it. Just like the box set to the World of Greyhawk, that was created by Gary Gygax as a foundation, and millions of dungeon masters over the years used it and built upon that. And that's the intention of this project, to help players, to help dungeon masters really bring this Temple of Elemental Evil campaign, the Second Rising, to life. So this wraps up this video on a review of clans. If you want to support this project to keep it going, you're welcome to join the Three Orcs Patreon. You can join for free, and you can get access to a lot of these maps and menus and things like that that I create for the campaign for free. But if you want access to the higher resolution versions, you have to be a paid member. Also, you'll help support this project to keep it growing, to keep me doing this. I've been working on this campaign for 7 years. And so, you know, as you can see from the size of my channel, it's very specific. And so only people interested in this specific campaign in the world of Greyhawk, in the Viscounty area, would be interested in anything I do. And so I try to stick to it and make sure that you guys, you know, find value. I created an entire module based on this website, condensed, put together, formatted perfectly, every square inch on each page, perfectly formatted and packed together and rewritten with new artwork for a module format to sell on Dungeon Master's Guild. And the main reason I did that is because you try printing up this World of Anvil website, good luck. It's not pretty. And if you try to export it as a PDF, all the formatting's gone. So this one page right here will end up being 20 pages of printout. It'll be ugly. It'll be like one long thing unformatted, and it's not good. So basically, a lot of dungeon masters out there keep asking, can we get a print version? Because they like to have a printed version at their table or to read it separate away from the table. So that's one of the reasons why I created those module PDFs on Dungeon Master's Guild for them. And they are repackaged very well. They're very well done. They're really professional. And I always make video reviews on each of them so you can see what I've done. So you can also support me that way as well. And if you want to come to the Three Orcs Discord channel, you're more than welcome to join us and collaborate and join the conversation and help us get this thing going and talk about your campaign. Now, every Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, because I'm California side, I do a live stream to update to everybody what I did all week, because a lot of people can't keep up with what I've done every day. You know, people work for a living and they don't have time to be on Discord all day. And I always put links to every article I write on Discord so people can review and critique it. And I can edit it immediately or talk about it, discuss it. I ask questions all the time on there. You know, what should I do next? What about this? Does this work? And so I invite you to the Discord channel to help out with that and to help shape the future progress of this project.
Did you enjoy video? Consider tossing support on my Patreon. It's best way to support orcs. If you would like to see more content, subscribe and post comments below. It better not be bad.
And I hope you like this video. I hope you enjoy Clan Sherendyl. This is the last clan in the series of the 4 clans of the Gnarly Forest. So from going forward, I'm thinking about actually creating modules. Now, Noble Ambitions, Section 10 is done. I finished that today. So I finished today at the doorstep of the dungeon. The dungeon VTT map is done. So I just now need to key it on this website for you guys to use. Then I'll be doing a video on that too. I also have a video already made for Noble Ambitions up to like number 9 or 8. It's a really cool adventure series. It's one of the best Living Greyhawk ever done. And I'm trying to get permission to do Gift of Beauty, but we'll see how that works out. I hope you guys really have a good time running this campaign for your players. I hope your players enjoyed this campaign as much as mine have over the years. I'll see you guys next week.